What's going on, guys? Want to do a bit of a different video in terms of like the setting and all that kind of stuff. I know, being a fitness coach, I should probably be in the kitchen or the gym when I'm recording these videos. But today, I want to talk about something that will pertain to a lot of you guys, especially if you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and you're someone who's been trying to lose weight, but for whatever reason, you get stuck in the same, 2, 3, 4 week cycle, and you're just like, I cannot, this is like, I just can't figure this thing out. Like, why is it so difficult for me to figure out? So I'm going to break that all down for you. I'm not sure like how long this video is going to be. I'm not going to make it too long, but I do want to go into certain mindset things that are keeping you guys back, and even some practical things that you guys can start taking into consideration as you go about your fat loss journey. So let's get into it. The first thing that you need to understand is that you need to have a vision of where you want to be in terms of how you want to look, right? If you look at me, I'm not like, I'm not super jacked or anything, but there was a point in my life where I could not have imagined myself looking like this. Like there was like, I was just like, I can't do it. I don't know how to work out in the gym. I don't know what to eat. I don't know how to lose weight. I don't know how to lose fat, all this kind of stuff. So for the longest time in my early 20s, I didn't understand this process. So obviously I wasn't in shape. It was just like as simple as that. So for you, what you need to understand is that with having a vision of what you could possibly look like, and the key word is what you could look like. Because if you go off of what all these enhanced bodybuilders are looking like in terms of like, super enlarged chest and shoulders and arms and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, I can never look like them because I'm Pakistani, so like obviously we have bad genetics, all this like kind of BS, then you are setting yourself up for failure because you have this like mismanaged expectation of what you could look like. Granted, you could go a very long way if you took your fitness journey very seriously and you were like, I'm all in with this. I'm gonna give the next 3, 4, 6, 12 months to this endeavor. I'm gonna do absolutely everything I can to make sure this happens. But it all stems from having a vision, and the only way you can have a vision of whatever you look, what do you want to look like? I don't care if you want to be on the more leaner side, if you want to put on massive amounts of muscle. I don't care what that specifically looks like for you. But the only way you'll have a vision is if you can even believe that you can get to that point. That's where a lot of you guys are messing up. And I want to talk to one guy. I want to talk to you specifically, bro, because the reason you have not been able to figure this thing out, and you're still like, oh, I don't know how to do this, is because you don't believe you can. And why is that? Why is that the case for you? It's because the people in your life, who you surround yourself with, what you see in your day-to-day interactions at school, at work, at whatever the case is, it reinforces the fact that men, are not they're not super athletic or jacked or whatever. You don't see an archetype, you don't see an example of what you could possibly look like, and for that to almost trigger you in a sense where you're like, oh damn, like he's just like me in terms of genetics, in terms of like our ethnicity, all this kind of stuff. If he's able to do it, then what that means that I can do it to some extent. Like you need to have this like earth-shattering moment almost where you're like, okay, if it was possible for him, then it's possible for me. I need to figure out what he did. I need to follow what his workouts are like, what he's eating, how he's going about his day to day. Like what does that look like for him? And for that to become the starting point for you. But until and unless you decide that you need to look for an example who is looking the way you want to look like, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Like the people who my clients who work with me, they didn't work with me because I'm the most shredded guy on the planet. It's because they understood that what I had done to build my physique could work for them. Like it was a sustainable process that could get them results, and that's why they work with me. Like I'm not going to be the most athletic man on planet Earth, obviously. But if there's a process that works for you and it has worked for someone else, then you would be well served to go along that journey. Now, another thing I want to add to this is that this process of you discovering what your potential could possibly be, it has to, it can be conscious or it can be of your own choosing, or it can be kind of like it's just something that happens in your life. So if you, and it's always good to put things in our favor. Like why wait like another 3 years for someone who is just like you to come along in your life and show you what you could possibly look like when you could just make the decision right now? Like, hey, just look up. And I tell this to my clients, like when they start working with me, go to Google. And this is a very practical tip. Like, you're going to be like, why didn't I think of this before? Go to Google, type in your ethnicity, fit man, or your ethnicity, jacked man, or your ethnicity, lean man, whatever the case is. I guarantee you with 100% conviction that once you go on there, this whole belief of like, oh, my genetics are crap, like I can't, we're Indians, Pakistanis are supposed to be fat, and all of that's going to go out the window once you look like, okay, this actor, this celebrity, this regular person, whatever, he is of my ethnicity. This is realistically what I could look like. You could go off of like different body types, someone who's like an ectomorph, endomorph, whatever, and you could be like, okay, this is what I'm working with. This is what they were working with. Clearly, they got the results they wanted. Okay, it's possible for me. You just need to have that. Everything from that point onwards, and in terms of what you do practically, has to come from this deep sense of like, I can actually do this. Because if you don't believe, if you don't have the vision of you even being able to do this, then you're not going to take any action. Or if you're going to take some action, you're always going to self-sabotage because you're like, oh, what's the point of this? I'm not supposed to look fit. I'm not supposed to look jacked. I can't do it because of this, XYZ reason. No one in my family is jacked. No one in my friend group takes fitness seriously. No one that I know at work is like anywhere near athletic or whatever. So you're just going to be like, okay, I'm just going to settle myself down to the standard I see on a daily basis. Until and unless you immerse your subconscious. First of all, you're conscious. You need to submerge your conscious with, okay, this is what is possible, and take advantage of your reticular activating system, which is the part of your brain which picks out on certain signals that you are focusing on. A very simple example: if I were to tell you pink Porsche, and you were obsessing about finding a pink Porsche for whatever reason, at some point in the next week, next month, whatever, you would start. First of all, you'd start seeing more Porsches, and then maybe you might even see a pink Porsche. Why is that? It's not like it materialized out of nowhere. It's because you directed your attention to that thing. It's the same thing with your fitness, man. You need to put the image of what you could possibly look like in your conscious. You need to see it every single day, and that will instill the belief, even if it's like 50-60% of the way there. It will give you an idea of what you could possibly look like, and you're like, okay, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm looking at on the internet, whatever. It needs to be realistic. Like I said, you don't want to go off of like all these like bodybuilders who injected themselves and they're like, oh, like I got jacked in like 3 weeks. Like, that's not what you need to be doing. Look at the realistic pictures and get an idea, a very crystal clear idea of what you could possibly look like, and okay, be like, okay, this is possible. It's real. It can happen for me. What do you do from that point onwards? You look at the actions. You look at, okay, this is the goal I'm trying to go for. What do I need to do to get to that point? And at this point, it will be a question of two things. It's only two things you need to worry about at this stage. Once you've gone down the process of like, okay, this is possible, only two things matter at this point. Do you know what you need to do? And can you rely on yourself to do those things? The first thing, in terms of knowing what to do, you could do a Google search on that. How to get in shape, how to put on muscle, how to lose body fat. You'd get all the information you need. The articles, the YouTube videos, the websites, everything. Like even this video, like this will give you'll have more than enough information. And I've even talked about this before, where it's almost this information overload which sets people back. When I got started in lifting in 2019, I've shared this story many times. I went on a July 4th trip in 2019 with my friends to New York. We had a great time. Like, we were like seeing all these different places and eating out. I even got like I ate like a halal food truck, and I got sick after that for like a whole week or whatever. But it was a really great time. Had lots of fun. As we were coming back, I was looking at the pictures we had taken, and there was one picture where we were overlooking. We were standing at this place overlooking the Manhattan skyline, and I just looked absolutely terrible. It was just like, like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Why do I, what's going, why do I look like this? That set me on my journey. And what, looking back, in terms of what gave me success, was following a simple program, a 3-day program where you went in, you increased the weights 5 pounds every single time you went in. It was only 3 exercises. That set me on my journey. Was it the perfect program? Absolutely not, because there was so much lacking in that program. But I almost I was almost too dumb to do more research. I was like, this works. This is going to work with my schedule. Let me do it. And that got me started. I increased my weights. Like my deadlift went from like 95 pounds to like 265 or something within the first 4 months of me lifting. That wasn't because I did anything crazy. It was just like I stayed consistent with a simple program that worked for me. So bringing this back to you, don't be a geek about this. I know, you've probably done well in life. You probably got like straight A's when you were in school and stuff. So don't be too neurotic and too like, I want to figure this thing out because like, like I've been instilled to like find all the answers and do my research and all this kind of stuff. No, cut that out. Find the simplest program you can find and start executing. That's all you need to do. I don't care if what you find the most convincing is the bro split, 5 days a week in 5 days a week in the gym, and you're like, okay, this is gonna work for me, this is gonna work for my schedule, whatever. Start on that. You Nothing you start on is gonna be the final thing that you're gonna be doing 5, 6 years later. It's never gonna be the same. Like at this point where I am right now, I'm thinking of switching up my schedule. I've been doing a 3-day full body split for the longest time. I'm like, I need to add a fourth day. I need to do certain muscle groups more, all that kind of stuff. It's never gonna be the same. So for you to be so arrogant to think that I need to find the perfect program that's going to work for me and I'm never having to change it. It's backed by all this research. You're being too dumb about this. Find what works for you right now. Fine tune later. That's what's going to happen anyway. You need to start though. If you haven't started, you need to start. Start somewhere. That's the information piece. The second piece, and this is what a lot of guys miss out on, and I'm sure it's also messing you up. Can you rely on yourself to take action? Because even if you have in your mind the perfect program and you're like, okay, this works, it works with my schedule, it will give me the results I want, I know what to eat and all this kind of stuff, but for whatever reason I'm not taking action on this. Why is that the case? Is it because I'm too lazy? Is it because I'm still working on that part of me to break my limiting beliefs when it comes to fitness? Like what's identify the reason why it's happening and work on that. Maybe you need to hire someone to keep you on your toes, to make sure you're doing these things that you need to do every single day. Maybe you go into this obsessive mode every couple 3 4 weeks and you're like, maybe I should lose fat. Maybe muscle building, I need to put that off. Or maybe the vice versa, I need to put on muscle more. Like I don't want to lose fat. Like you sabotage yourself. So you may know what you need to do, but you still let your mind dictate what you're going to be doing on a daily basis. And if you're going off of like, oh, like, like I look a little chubby today, so I need to cut fat, I need to start running and all this kind of stuff, and you change your program every couple of days, every couple of weeks, that's the reason why you're still stuck in the same place. You still cannot get over the fact that you need to follow a program based on a current goal that you have right now. And you need to see that to completion to be able to realistically have the results that you want. This is why guys come to me and they're like, I've been doing this thing. I did like, group cardio sessions. I was cutting out carbs. I was doing all this, but I'm still like overweight and I don't know what I need to do. Like I worked with this other coach and he wasn't giving me the directions that I wanted and all this kind of stuff. So really, like when you need to be honest with yourself and understand that, okay, maybe I do need help, is when you're getting in your own way. And it's okay to accept that. It's okay to be like, I need help. You're not lesser for doing this. You're not lesser for saying like, oh, I need help, I don't know how to do this. In fact, if you don't do this, if you remain arrogant on this point of like, oh, like I don't need help, the information's out there. Why should I pay someone? Why should I like have someone hold me accountable? Then you don't want this. You just want to have, you just like the idea of having this. You're like, oh, like if I were able to get over myself and finally do all this stuff and finally figure this out, then I could tell the story of like me having gotten in shape without having anyone to help me out. I don't know, like it's a weird kind of like psychological thing. You might be playing with yourself. Where like, I want to do this. I want to be the superhero of my own story. I don't want to have anyone that played any part in my story. And it probably comes from like your childhood. And you're like, I got straight A's and no one helped me and all this kind of stuff, which is probably not true. But you like to tell yourself that story. So understand, be humble, accept that you might need help, accept that there might be someone out there. It doesn't have to be me. I'm not I'm not telling you all this to be like, hey, hire me because I'm the right guy for you. I might not be. But understand that you might need help when it comes to this area, and you might need to follow someone's program who knows what they're talking about. The last piece of all of this is understanding why you're doing this. Yes, you have an idea of what you want to look like. Yes, you are finally getting on a program. Yes, you're working on all these different limiting beliefs which are sabotaging your progress. But why are you doing this in the first place? And it's okay to have whatever reason you have. The reason I got in shape, the reason I decided to get in shape was because I didn't like how I looked. It's okay to say that. It's okay to accept that. You know, a lot of people, they like to kind of shame men, and they're like, oh, you should do this because you want to be a healthy individual, and you want to get over your emotional whatever like BS, and you want to do this for righteous reasons. It doesn't have to be for righteous reasons. It could be for the most vain, superficial reason you can think about. You could be like, I've never had attention from a woman, so I want to do this so I can get married. I want to have whatever, like whatever you have going on for you. It could be as simple as that. Like, I want to do this because people made fun of me and they bullied me in my childhood. I want to show them that I can get in shape and I'm that guy. It can be whatever reason. Here's the thing that will happen as you go about this process. You could start with the most superficial, the most vain reason, the most like selfish reason for doing this. At a certain point, it could be 3 months later, 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 5 years down the line, whatever the timeline looks like for you. You will eventually get to a point where you're like, I don't care what my reason was for starting this. I love fitness for fitness. I love the gym because it gives me a place to release my stress and to see progress in my life. I love eating clean because of how it makes me feel. I don't even like junk food anymore. I don't even like binge eating, whatever the case is, because I love to treat my body with so much dedication, and I love that, it's a trust from God that I need to take care of. I love having a healthy lifestyle where I'm walking, I'm getting sunlight, I'm sleeping on time, all this kind of stuff because of how it makes me feel, of how well I feel the next day when I'm recovered and I can take care of my family, I can take care of work, I can be the most healthy individual for the people in my life. You will get to that point. If you don't, then there's probably something deeper that you need to work on. Like it's almost impossible. Like 99% of guys at some point will just like, whether they tell you or not, they'll be like, I love this because of it's just who I am. I can't see my life without fitness. It's definitely true for me. At no point, regardless of what happens in terms of like whether I have a gym or not, or whether I can have the most, amount of protein or whatever, this is not leaving my DNA. This is who I am. For better or for worse, some people be like, oh, you need to, focus on other things. No, I love fitness. Yeah, you can't convince me of like doing something else and to give up fitness. I can't. Even if it gets to a point where all I can do is like push-ups, I'm gonna do push-ups because I know that me doing push-ups is part of my identity. If it gets to that point, so understand that it's okay to have whatever reason you have right now. And if you're in the age range that I talked about in the very beginning, if you're like in your late 20s, early 30s, You might be in the situation where you're like, I just never got in shape because I never understood this process. I never had the time. I was probably going to medical school, law school, whatever the case is, and I never had the time to figure this out. And I'm at a point now where I'm like 20, 30 pounds overweight. I don't like how I look. I want to look better. I probably have, if I have a wife, I want to look attractive to her. If I don't have one, I want to get in shape so I can get married. I have kids. I want to be able to play with them, but I'm too overweight. I can't even like keep up with them for 3 minutes. Whatever your motivation is, lean into that and understand that if you give it enough time, if you're consistent enough with the process, you will just your identity will transform, and you will just love fitness for what it does for your life. So that's the video for you guys. I hope this was helpful for you, man. I hope this was something that gave you inspiration. I tried to break this down in terms of like making practical. Um, so let me know if you found the advice helpful. It was something that gave you something to work off of. Like I say with my channel and all this kind of stuff, it's really to help you guys see your potential, to understand that you have so much going on for you right now, regardless of your situation. And if you just like had the right steps, you could see massive improvement in your life. If you do want my help, if you do want me to be your coach and to give you the plan and everything that you need in terms of your daily success habits, things that you need to do on a daily basis, your nutrition, just give you the nutrition so you don't have to figure this out. You don't have to waste time. Give you the workout so you know what to do in the gym, and you just switch your brain off and you just do the workouts. Hit me up. There will be a link in my description. Go to that if you want to consider working with me. But regardless, Matt, I love every single one of you. I see, even if you don't see yourself, I don't know who you are, but I see your potential because I see it in every man, regardless of who they are, where they come from, what their life looks like right now. I can look at every single man who is not where they want to be, and I can tell them, you have potential. You can do this. And I wish someone told that to me. I wish someone looked at me when I was in 2019 and I just like didn't like how I looked. Someone told me that you can do this, man. You can get in shape. You can get over this stuff. I still did it, obviously by the help of God, but I want to do that for others now because of how much it's impacted my life. So I'll leave it there, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions. Share this with a friend who is in need of some motivation to get their life in order and to get in shape. I'll catch you guys on the next one.